So if you listen to the music in the background or even look at the artifacts, those are symbols, and they're cultural symbols. You can hear the language, and in this case it's Spanish. And you can see, perhaps you've noticed this before, a stick for hitting a piñata. Now these are cultural symbols from Mexico, and I'm not from Mexico, but if I was living in Mexico or if I moved to Mexico, I might have to experience, well, I would experience what's called acculturation, how I deal with fitting into my new culture. With acculturation, there's several different ways that people experience it. First is assimilation. Assimilation is where I try just as hard as possible to just fit in. Now, for several reasons, I just don't look Mexican, but I might take on some different characteristics on how I talk, how I dress, what I eat, where I go, that would help me to fit in. That would be assimilation, where I try to mostly be part of that new culture. A second experience I might have is integration. So let's say, for example, I'm from the United States living in Mexico and I find this in the market. Wow, it's something from home, and I'd really enjoy the daisy sour cream when maybe my friends or a new family or a new culture would be enjoying this particular cream instead. Integration is looking for a combination of your culture of origin and your new host culture. And people experience that here in Minnesota in the United States, here in St. Paul where I am. When they look for their products, they only see daisy, but suddenly here they see the cream that they're looking for. Separation is something that's quite different. It would just be almost the opposite of assimilation. And so if I move to Mexico, for example, I might find other Americans or perhaps other English speakers that I could identify with. I speak very little Spanish, and so I might find some sense of community among people I could speak to about abstract thoughts, my feelings, and words more than like, where's the bathroom, right? And so that separation sometimes feels so good to be with people who understand your abstract thought, and maybe you're feeling so identifying with your American culture, in my instance perhaps, that it feels just a little more stable to be in a separation mode. However, at that point, you possibly are finding yourself slipping further and further away from the culture that you're living in. So that can have its own difficulties. Sometimes we see that is what's called an expat community. So folks who would come to this store here in St. Paul might be experiencing all of those areas. And if the person didn't learn English, really is maybe here for a short term or maybe in their elder life, they may not have a desire, or maybe they may not believe they have the capacity, or maybe it's something in between all of that to learning English, and they're comfortable with speaking Spanish. They love their foods, and they can get them right here, asking for it in Spanish and purchasing the items here. Now, that can also happen obviously with assimilation, integration, along with separation. But as you build empathy and cultural curiosity, it's important to know that a person could experience all three of those areas, and in fact the last one, marginalization, where they don't feel a connection to either. So neither one of them really tastes right anymore. This really doesn't taste like home anymore, and there's no interest in the new culture, and that can be quite depressing. So as we think about how people are integrating into culture, and we learn more about culture in the backyard, I hope that you're also gaining empathy skills so that you can understand that acculturation isn't just one experience. It's all of those things, and sometimes in one day. And that the feelings that people have who are newcomers, or even yourself if you were to travel even for a shorter period of time in a new country or a new culture, that you'll experience these feelings, and hopefully it will gain empathy and will help folks who are finding their way in culture in your own backyard.